We're in for a wild night.
Welcome, everybody, to episode 139 of Born to be Wild, a Wild exclusive Hearthstone podcast where we have fun hanging out with friends, talking about the Wild format of Hearthstone and spotlighting members of the Wild community. I'm your host, as always, Nate Wolf. It is great to be here on a beautiful Friday evening, joining you from Orange County, California. Our normal hosts could not be here tonight. Sheep is still caring for his newborn, and Hydra, unfortunately, is sick, but hanging out with two of my great friends. So very happy to be here. Welcome back, Blutrane. How are you tonight?
I'm well, thank you.
Yeah, thanks for jumping in. What have you been up to?
It's been 2 weeks back at work since the Christmas break, and that's been a little bit of an adjustment, so a little less free time than normal. But still find time to catch some streams and watch my favorites play Wild Hearthstone to try and stay on top of what's going on. And since the tome tampering removal, the meta's settled in a pretty interesting spot. So there's a lot of interesting Hearthstone and variants in Hearthstone depending on whom you're watching and where they are on ladder. So that's kind of been my interaction. I've been more of an observer than a participant in the year of 2023.
Well, it's all good. I think sometimes breaks are healthy, and also tonight we're not talking so much about like meta snapshot as we have kind of a fun special Friday the 13th topic to chat about. So it'll be great. And of course, welcome back, SchmoopieDaddy. How are you?
Yeah, hey, still filling in for Sheep from the rainy tri-state area part of the country. But I tell you what, if I start getting chased by Michael Myers tonight, I'm just going to save the energy. I'm just going to walk. I keep walking. I'll walk. It's like, it's going to catch me just as fast anyway, and we'll be good to go.
Bum 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 bum. I can't do the theme song. I was going to try to cue it up, but
It's really raining here too. We're having what they call an atmospheric river, also known as the Pineapple Express. Basically, it's just like a deluge of rain for days, like nonstop. It's quite insane. You can't hear it on my mic, but like on the window, it's just like the pitter patter of like the rain hitting the.
Yeah, we had thunder last night in the middle of
January. That's kind of crazy. I hope it doesn't turn into freezing rain like it does sometimes this time of year.
Oh no!
Yeah, that's the thing. I woke up this morning and it was 55 in freedom units. So like it was like pretty warm. Like
55 is like what, 10, 11 degrees?
It was like a spring day. It's like a kind of a damp spring day when I woke up this morning. So like that was kind of wild.
You said wild.
You said it.
I said the thing.
You ever watch like this Nickelodeon way back in the day, and there was like the secret word, and if you said the word, you got slimed?
Yes.
Yeah, you just got slimed.
Yeah.
I remember this was years ago when it was first aired. We were watching Game of Thrones, my wife and I, and there's that, spoilers for those who haven't seen Game of Thrones, that scene where Stark confronts Cersei about her children, and Cersei says, "Well, Ned, in the Game of Thrones, you either win or die." And I just remember going, she said it. And I got the side eye.
Oh gosh.
Aside from that, for those of you joining us for the first time, welcome aboard. Let me briefly explain how this show works. We record this podcast live every Friday evening at twitch.tv/BornToBeWildHS. And the video version of this broadcast is then posted to YouTube shortly thereafter. Audio versions are also distributed to all podcast apps. However, if you're watching, listening, or absorbing via osmosis, this podcast today, thank you. Yes, you. I kind of butchered that one. I didn't do the teacher thing very well. Apologize.
I got you. If it makes you feel any better, I would have done it 100 times worse. So
squinting at it like
that's why I was saying before. Hydra's got it down. He's so smooth.
Sheep and hide. When you do it enough times in a row, like you don't have to think about it so much anymore. If it makes you feel any better, last time I had to cover, I butchered it as well. So I appreciate you
Well,
falling on the
so
sword, so I
that's the
didn't have
thing.
to do it.
Sheep always does it amazingly well, but then Hydra picked it up, and it's like it's seamless transition, and then
Right?
it's like I can't even do
That's
the
impressive.
intro of the
That's
other
impressive.
pod. It's just unbelievable. But
Professional work.
it's
Professionals at work.
yeah, it's in keeping with our theme of curses tonight. So
Right,
the cursed intro.
That's so good. It's so good. All right. Well, real quickly before we get started with the main show, let me do a little bit of housekeeping. I do want to say a quick but very important thank you. First and foremost to Shokunin, who's the executive producer of our show. We really appreciate your support, and also to Aramorn and to all of our other patrons. Really appreciate your help. Like we mentioned last week, working with Christine on some new artwork incoming shortly, and just really appreciate your help and support and you hanging out with us. Wanted to share a couple of ways that y'all can support us if you're interested. There's a couple of free ways. If you are watching this on YouTube, if you like, comment, subscribe, that helps the algorithms and stuff. If you're listening to this on a podcast app, if you leave a comment, that helps, or excuse me, review. That helps other people find it and helps boost us a little bit in iTunes or wherever. And then finally, if you're someone who's watching this on Twitch or uses Twitch a lot, we do have some emotes that you can unlock. There are some that you can get by subscribing. That's free if you've got Amazon Prime. We also have some emotes that you can get 100% free just for following. So want to thank everybody for doing that thing. If you're here watching live, we really appreciate it. It's really cool to hang out with everybody on Friday evenings, interact with you guys live and chat back and forth. We get a chuckle out of it, and it's very entertaining. We do have a Patreon if you're interested in supporting the show financially for as little as $1 a month. And then finally, we've got a Discord channel if you're interested in interacting with any of us personally. We do have a Discord channel. It's an online community, friends that we've made all throughout the world. It's absolutely free. Links to all of that stuff and more can be found at our website, which is borntobewildhs.com. Again, borntobewildhs.com. I got it updated last week, so all of our episodes are up there. If you missed an old episode, you want to listen to one, it's all organized by date and subject matter, what the meta was, who the guest was. So if you want to hear the Corbett episode, or you want to hear the whoever episode, like you can find it. We do have a bunch of lore episodes. If you're listening for the first time, you don't know that we do that. We talk about Hearthstone lore as well. We've got a dedicated page for that. So if you want to learn the stories behind the Hearthstone cards, there's some pretty fun ones. And again, that's all available on our website, which is borntobewildhs.com. Yeah. Let's see. Oh, we had shirts. I forgot to talk about shirts. Links on the website. I'm wearing one. There you go.
You are. That's good. I like that. I like the red one. It's good.
Yeah, it's fun. You can so the way that the merch works, it's kind of fun, right? So you pick the artwork that you want on it, and then it can be any color. The shirt can be like any color. There's like a bazillion to choose from. So when we get new artwork, we throw it up on the shop, and then you could slap the artwork on whatever type of shirt you want. In the history of forever, we've sold like 8. It's great.
So I've been meaning to get one for a while now, but there's new ones coming soon, TM. So I'm kind of like waiting for the new ones to drop before I hop on.
I would. Yeah, the new one should be fun.
So that's my plan, because I feel like I've been on enough times, and I'm always wearing like the trademark like ratty white T-shirt.
You know what? It is pretty funny. Typically, like you've got the ratty white T-shirt, and I've got my trademark like raffle black V-neck.
I wear that too sometimes. But like on Fridays I'm usually like I'm done. I just had a long week, a long day, and I talking about things that are cursed. This is a big tangent, but if you indulge me for a second.
Of course.
Do you find with shirts, particularly t-shirts or undershirts, the color changes the feel? So I find white t-shirts to be far more comfortable than those that are dyed black or dark blue. I think they look better, but the white t-shirts, they feel different. They're lighter, they're more comfortable. I don't know why this is. It could be completely in my head, but I think that I think the dye changes the texture of the fabric. I'm
That's a new
I
one
am
for me, but
convinced.
It wouldn't shock me if it wouldn't shock me if it was, if it's not necessarily the dye, but maybe even the process to make sure that the color stays.
Hmm.
If that somehow changed it, like that wouldn't shock me. I don't know if it's true, but like that wouldn't be if you told me that, that seems like well within the realm of possibility as the sciencey person here.
I don't normally do this, but since you brought it up, so when we were selecting a shop to sell the merch through, not that we're like actually selling any, but we went through whatever, it doesn't matter. It's not like we're doing this for money.
I know.
But when we were looking for a shop, you can order like a demo product.
Mhm.
And I tried, I think, 3, 4 different ones before I chose this one, partially because the ease that like of setting up the shop and adding the artwork and stuff, but I ordered samples from every one, and this one by far was like the shirts came in and they were soft and they were comfortable and they fit well, and the other one's like when you get a shirt and it comes in the mail and it's like cardboard, and then you wash it and it still feels like cardboard. It's like I don't want to wear that. I'm not going to try to sell it to people if it's super uncomfortable, like
They're
or
nice
if the
shirts. I bought like 4 of them.
So
I
so
think I'm
we
half
sold
the lifetime sale.
we sold 8 and then 4 were from the Schmoopie family.
I'm pretty sure.
The Schmoopie
Catch up, guys.
family
Come
is
on.
more than 50% of your sales. Well
It's
done.
yeah, I think if there was stock, you'd own half the company. Oh gosh. Anyways, yeah. So yeah, join us on Discord though if you're interested in hanging out and chatting and stuff. I always enjoy it. Wildcard shared this week. I always laugh at the funny usernames, and I hate to say it, it looks like all the usernames that were posted in the last week are all from Marvel Snap and not from and not from Hearthstone. Wildcard was saying like, "What's going on? Does anyone still play Hearthstone over here?" Yes, they're just my I usually I've been playing a lot on the iPad lately instead of the computer, and for whatever reason it like logged out of Discord and it doesn't want to log me back in without some like recovery codes that I can't find. Um,
Can
which
you
is
scan with your phone?
I don't know.
The QR code thing?
I'll have to goof around with it. I've been like I can log in on my phone and I can log in on the computer, just not on the
Yeah.
iPad. It's
Yeah,
so
every
Give
once
weird.
in a
me the
while
QR
it'll.
option because like that helps. Like that's what I do to get on the laptop all the time. It's quick.
Huh. Well, the funny usernames from the past week. We have your mom's boy toy, which is pretty funny, and we have Rush Hour on VHS, which is oddly specific and pretty funny there. So if you want to see all these, we've got a whole channel for them, and it's entertaining.
I saw a username that made me chuckle earlier today. Reasonable Swagwar 69. I don't think that's our Swagwar, but I was gonna ask the next time I was in a stream. Reasonable swag, like that's like reasonable Swagwar 69. I'm like, this
Okay.
can't be Swagwar because Swagwar is not reasonable in any capacity at all.
That would take away from the charm.
It stuck
So
with me though.
there you go. I guess it worked. Oh gosh. Well, I wanted to talk about my week real briefly. So last week we were talking about I don't know how it came up, but I was mentioning that I had hit legend with every class. Oh, we're talking about New Year's resolutions, right?
Yeah.
And I was saying that I wanted to hit legend with all 11 classes, and I wanted to get my Demon Hunter up to 1,000. So I played a little bit of Demon Hunter. I'm a little bit over 800, but SchmoopieDaddy was saying you've never hit Legend with Mage. Like I did in Standard once, but never in Wild. Like, oh, we got to get you there. We'll just do a Secret Mage. It's fine. And so over the past week, I played a bunch of Secret Mage in Wild, and my win rate, like I stopped playing it when I sunk down to like 55% win rate, and like I was still winning games, but it was like win one, lose one, win two, lose one, win one, lose one, and it was like I was like, all right, I'm not playing this anymore. At which point, this copy pasta was shared with me, and it's so funny that we had to share it with you. I can read it, or Schmoopie, you can read it, but it
I
doesn't
don't mind.
matter.
You want
It's
me to
just,
do a dramatic reading of this?
oh god,
I found
it's
a
so
kid
great.
super
And
prosper.
so we found this in Discord. I don't know where it originated. Probably Reddit, but this is something. Yeah, go for it.
I've been playing Hearthstone since the Grand Tournament, and never once have I played against a deck as infuriating as Secret Mage. I hear people talk a lot about the Cabal Lackey, the secrets in the Secret Mage are the problem. But I'm here to tell you they are all wrong, because Fireball is the problem in Secret Mage. Fireball is the most efficient damage card that Blizzard has ever printed, and it's not close. No deck can deal with 12 damage for 8 mana without a board. No deck that can deal 12 damage for 8 mana without a board can be called interactive. 2 copies have been included in just about every Mage deck since beta, except Reno Mage. Lol. It's bad enough that Fireball makes Secret Mage uninteractive, but even worse is it becomes ridiculously easy to pilot. I know I am playing twice as well as the vermin on the other side of the screen, but but there's nothing I can do if they just point all their cards at my face. I was playing Giants Questline Warlock, which is one of the rewarding decks to play if you put the time in to master it. But I kid you not, every game I played against Secret Mage, they drew Fireball and killed me before I could complete my quest line, play Blightborn Tamsin, and kill my opponent. Ixar? Ben Brode? I also lost the game to a bug where Rigged Fair Game triggered, even though I killed my opponent, and guess what? 4 mana Mage Fire spell he drew when I was on 6 health. Needless to say, I put Cursor of Fahm into my deck after that. If you're reading this, and I know you are, Blizzard, I would advocate that you nerf Fireball. Secret Mage has oppressed Wild since the mean streets of Gadgetzan, and it won't stop unless you do something about it. As George Santayana once said, those who do not remember the past are condemned to repeat it. And to those who do not work at Blizzard, to those who feel the suffering as I, but have no power, fear not, for I am with you. Join with me, comrades, and let us fight to end this vicious cycle. Hashtag ban Fireball.
Well, A for effort over here.
We
The
have
unhinged
we have been running
part
with
about
Fireball
this
for
is
some time
obviously
too.
like
Right?
how extinct like the Warlock quest line made Secret Mage, among other things. But like, like that was like a free matchup because explosive runes just advanced your quest. Like
Right?
absurd.
Wow. By the way, I don't know if it was actually him, but I was playing Secret Mage over the past week, and I beat Ixar on ladder, who was playing Reno Shadow Priest, assuming it was him, but it probably was. I don't know. And so my thought was, hoisted by your own petard, right? That was his. Secret Mage was his like pet deck, and so
Could have been Soda that you were playing. I know.
oh,
Do you remember how it was spelled? Like, was the I uppercase or lowercase?
I took a screenshot. I think it was uppercase.
I don't remember how Ixar has it, but or were you running Deck Tracker?
Yes, I think so.
So what we could do after the show is, if you go look at the game Deck Tracker, it'll have the battle tag, and one of the guys could tell you if it's the real Ixar or not. I don't remember his battle tag, but
I should have added him, but I didn't know. The only thing where I thought it maybe was not him is that the hero power was not golden, so that made me
I
think
think
like,
that was probably sounds like that might have been Soda, who's
but it
been
was
spending more time on NA of late since the unceremonious shutdown of the China server. CN
Can I
server.
just say something to that point, Blue? Because it's actually kind of interesting. There are more legends on NA right now than EU.
Yeah.
So like I don't know if the CN community decided that EU was not the promised land, and like you had more people decide to join NA instead.
There are more legends in standard as well. I think that so two things. One, I think that's what happened, and two, you totally called it. I was not convinced that that like a lot were gonna come over, and I guess that the Great Firewall of China might be great, and it might be fire, and it might be wall, but it's certainly not keeping a large influx of people from playing. Like more legends in standard and wild, and yeah, more than EU. It's kind of nuts. And when I watch others play, all kinds of names I do not recognize.
Oh yeah,
And
check out the leaderboard top 200. It's funny when you look through and you check out like, all right, I don't know them, I don't know them, I don't know them. What is it? The DJWCB is like the new Silent Storm. Like I see so many people naming themselves that. It must mean something, or be like a clan or something like that. I'm assuming from the CN server. But like I remember seeing like maybe one once, and now there's at least 5 or 6 of them I see at all MMRs. I'll talk about it more in my week about my experience on ladder, but
and the decay
it's
is
totally in
crazy
effect.
now.
We might be on track to have more legends this month than we did last month, and last month was first month of an expansion, which would be like unheard of. That number goes up instead of down, like a little bit. Like it doesn't crash, but like that'd be nutty. That'd be really nutty.
So is the influx of population positive experience? I mean, I know that not to be negative, but I would imagine that like the decay is a lot more fierce than it was prior to this surge of new players.
So if you're looking for 11x, it's like it's never been better. Like Reno Jackson kept his on like rank 800.
Wow. I mean, he probably has a lot of resistance, but still, I mean,
Sure.
that is you. It didn't matter how good you were if you fell that far, like you'd lose it in the past.
Well,
That's
I
we were talking about that last week.
At like
So
700, like I think a lot of people are playing the mode, and there's a lot of I definitely think there's a lot of new accounts. I think NA has expanded to like maybe bigger than it's ever been, but like legend numbers wise, it looks equal to like Scholomance right now,
Wow.
which is like a really good time. So
Yep.
like I think it's positive. Now
Nice.
now I don't have to compete in top 200 where everybody's trying to knife each other. And like it can be a little bit maddening trying to figure out what kind of crazy tech you're trying to work around. I've heard some top players kind of walking away from that experience because it's not always fun playing against Chinese decks when you're used to playing, you're used to like the dance steps being a certain way, and they have a way of making things a little arrhythmic at times, sometimes to their detriment, sometimes to your detriment in what feels like a high roll. So I think it's positive. I think it's a good thing as a whole for the server. But like I know, like I kind of said it would apply a little pressure to the top of the ladder. It's definitely applying a little pressure to the top of the ladder. I was just watching OTZ on stream. He's like 10 or 11 wins deep on rank 2, and he just cannot catch CN Lovely Kid when I had to step away from stream to do the podcast. So like they're here. They're playing, and they're pretty good. So
yeah, you know what? It's good for the format, so I'm happy. I'm happy about it.
it's like the community had to get dumped in order to do it, though. Like I think we lost something as a whole, but maybe collecting more on the 3 servers makes us stronger. I'm hoping.
Yeah. Anyways, oh, sorry, Blue. Go
Yeah,
for
I
it.
was
Sorry,
gonna
sorry
say,
to sidetrack.
I think it's interesting that there's still this like divide between regions. I mean, I understand that there's some technical limitations, but like I think at a certain point having global matchmaking would be really nifty. And maybe that's easier said than done, but it kind of just goes to show you, like we always would joke about the differences between NA and EU, and now you're kind of seeing a little bit of a crucible where you're kind of seeing that like it's not a question of NA versus CN, it's just it kind of becomes a sum greater than the parts, and it's gonna influence things in ways that I don't think anyone can predict. So I mean, from an observer, it's certainly interesting.
Yeah.
Also, it's funny too because people are speculating why there's so, especially in the standard realm. There were some tweets that I read and replied to, where people like, how is it that there are more standard legends than ever when the meta is so bad? And I was like, well, See, there's this wild player called SchmoopieDaddy who kind of called it. It can't be anything else other than that. Like I know it's a little bit of empirical like thinking, but like I mean in this case I think like that standard is enough, right? Big server shuts down, major influx of players, both formats. Like I mean, Occam's razor, do the math. It has to have had an influence on it.
And the way
Yeah.
that Soda described the process, it's not even hard to do. You're not even not allowed to do it. Like you can set the language to something that's very similar to what you'd be reading,
Mm-hmm.
and like the only limitation is how much capital you can put in because it doesn't really support the pay methods you normally would on the CN server. So like their
WePay.
PayPal, their version of what doesn't work.
WePay
So if they're
doesn't work.
gonna put money into the game, they need a little help. But like if they like they're good players, they're solid. It's like imagine you multiplied the NA server, shut it down. A lot of 10x, 9x, 11x players are all sort of traveling over here, and they know what they're doing. So
Yeah, we did get a big influx of bots as well, though. That's part of it, and I don't know if it's migrating players trying to like level up their accounts or what, but
I think that's definitely going to be part of it. Because apparently botting was somewhat common on the Chinese server,
Well,
but
also,
they can't all be Chinese players. I don't think.
now I'm just going to purely speculate here. I just want to preface this by saying this is purely conjecture on my part, but I would say that like if you were kicked off of NA summarily and had to start over again, I think you'd kind of be a bit chafed and you'd be like, well, you know what, I'm going to bot to try and start even getting a fraction back of what I had. I mean, if that's the case, you're taking a risk, although maybe you're really not. But I mean, in a way, it doesn't excuse it, but it kind of explains it. I mean, it's a lot of time and money and investment of oneself, and
yeah.
It was a good early meta for bots too. Like even Shaman's very good, Pirate Rogue's very good. They are I'm gonna say fairly easy decks to bot. I actually learned a little bit watching some of the really good bots play because like they did some things in Even Shaman that I hadn't thought about trying to do before when I was learning the deck. But like you beat them in the mirror because they're not mulliganing properly, or like they might high roll you, but they'll also do some dumb stuff where you'll break them with a strange interaction. Like they're not the worst things to play around. It's a little upsetting when you lose to them sometimes. I report everyone I see. I'll be honest. I report everyone that I see. I don't want to be around, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
I don't want to sidetrack too much from the fun conversation.
Oh yeah. All right. Well, let's move on then.
We were doing weeks. I think Blutrane, you were up. It was up to your week next, I think.
Yeah, I was just gonna say I switched over to playing even Death Knight, and it's been fun. The hero power costing 1 is way better than it costing 2, I will say. And the list that I have kind of settled on, although I think we'll switch one card. We were playing. I think the initial list was from Rabobson, and then swapped out a couple cards to use Corb's list, and then Get Meowth swapped out a couple of cards and switched over to that list. I think the weak card that I didn't like running in it was Frenzied Foeling, which is great in some decks like Pirate Rogue, but this deck feels more board based, and it was just like was not getting it down as quickly as I thought I would, and so swapping that out seemed like it makes sense. Corb, pull, or Get Meowth, or one of the two, I don't know, pulled those two cards out, added Invincible and Blade Master Okani. I don't know that I love Okani. You talked about putting in Polkelp maybe to get your Marogar, which makes sense.
Just because Marogar is how you win some matchups, and it's so important.
Yeah, so I mean, you want to go wide. It's very board based. The nice thing is I have a great win rate against Pirate Rogue. I have a great win rate against Even Shaman. Yeah. Plague Strike is probably the best card in the deck, and Grave Strength is how you win games. I mean, you just go wide and then buff everything, and then the buff is permanent, so it's pretty awesome. So
it's Bloodlust minus a mana, except it costs the same, but your hero power, because you got the 1 mana hero power, you can usually weave in a charger that deals 4. So it's like you stick 3 minions, the game's over. It's crazy.
It's pretty good. It took me a minute to get used to it because a lot of the cards are conditional that things had to die like the turn previous, and so I was mulliganing wrong early on. I think it's Necrotic Mortician that says like if an friendly undead died last turn, then whatever. But like some of those you take a couple of turns to get online. But the deck overall was great. You build a board and you go face and you win. Murlocula is great. Um, I don't think it's perfectly optimized yet. People running Sylvanas the Accused, which it's just so easy to proc, and if you want to steal a big taunt or I don't know, kill something, I guess, uh, that's sitting in the 6 slot. I don't know that it's actually the right call or not. Invincible, I don't know. Okani, I don't know. Maybe Polkelt would be better. I don't know. But the deck, all in all, is kind of fun. I haven't played Knife Juggler in ages, but it seems to work pretty well actually. So, yeah. Anyways, that's kind of what I've been up to. I haven't got to play as much as I normally would like to. Part of it's because I've been bouncing back and forth between Wild and Marvel Snap. Part of it's because we're trying to move into our new place, and I spent all weekend like painting and stuff. So we'll keep doing that. But I'm sitting at Diamond 7 or 8 right now, and so I'll probably hit Legend over the weekend is my hope. But anyways, Blue I know has been spectating, which is honorable in its own right. SchmoopieDaddy, you had hit Legend last time, right? And then Schmoopie Mommy hit Legend as well, right? With the Even Shaman, I believe.
Yeah, she got in day 3.
Oh
I
my
got in
God.
day 1. I've spent the last week, I think since we talked, I conceded down to bronze 5 MMR. I think I got down to third from the bottom. I wanted to do some achievement hunting. I want to do some like low stress, just like play some games, farm some achievements, get some XP. I'm way behind on that stuff. It used to be the first thing I did when an expansion came out. Since getting more competitive in THL, I wanted to play the good decks, the new good decks first, and I get sucked into that, and then I grow, behind on my achievement hunting.
Where are
So I
you?
did mostly that, and that's where I like started to see something really interesting. I don't know if I've ever been that low this early in the month. I saw a lot of what I assumed were 9x, 10x standard players playing their standard deck in Wild, which is
I
like
I saw a
something I
little bit of
used
that
to do.
too.
Yeah, but they were playing confidently, like the decks were coherent. Um, but it's like bronze 5. So like it was interesting there because normally when I'm at bronze 5 and it's like the 22nd in the month, I'm playing against like Fiery Warhacks Warrior, or Taunt Mage. I lost to a Taunt Mage. My deck was worse than Taunt Mage. But I also happened to notice as I was going up, like in silver, I ran into a full speed secret mage that knew what they were doing, was playing things in the correct order, was taunting me, emoting me, um, and had a funny username that I was just like, I wonder if that's a Chinese player. And then I also saw some other suspicious names that could have been from Chinese players on Disco Lock. I saw 2 pillagers in gold. I ran into another one before I left gold. Um, I like you're
Unreal.
seeing some like full speed meta decks at very low MMR, and it's like they're coming.
Hmm.
Like I saved a couple usernames because I'm just like, you know what, buddy, I might see you pretty soon,
And we
probably
know
sooner than you
and we
expect.
know this is very possible and easy to do, right? From the whole Reaver Ryan joke
Hundred
from
percent.
was it a year ago, a year and a half ago? I can't remember when everyone
Keith
was.
Numbers did. Keith Numbers did like 5 or 6 free to play runs before he hung it up. Like if you put everything that, because they throw a lot of materials at you, if you know what you're
Yeah.
doing and you bury everything that you have into a couple of wild meta decks, um, like it's a hell of a way to play Hearthstone. Like you could. I knew somebody who in Rockwell's chat once claimed they had 10 separate accounts, one for each class, and they just, for that particular, whenever they were on that profile, they poured whatever they could into that class, and that was Like I imagine that'd be like even Hydra couldn't keep up with managing that many accounts.
That
But it's
sounds
a hell of a
terrible.
thing that like it's a way to play. It's a way to play Hearthstone, and you'd be amazed at how far you could get doing it.
I have an account, like a burner account. I used it for streaming a couple times. Night Train, I named after the Oscar Peterson record. Night Train, get it? Like, very clever, I know. Anyways, I logged into it for the first time in a long time, and you get all that free stuff, and I was able to craft Beast Hunter, with all the legendaries at the time. This was around Nathria, so it was running some
Good.
things we don't run anymore. But like, there was no legendary or epic spared. Like it was a comfortable
Yeah.
craft, and able to just go on and rock the ladder with that 3-star MMR and just go on that stomp, right? So that's probably what these new players are doing with their new accounts. They're using the resources wisely, and they're going to enter in very high. And I mean, the party will be over next month when they have to climb at 11. But I mean, that's probably where they want to be anyhow. So yeah, it's it's fun. I'll say this. Nate was very kind in my assessment that I've been spectating. I too have been playing the other card game, Marvel Snap, and I promise I'm not going to go in and talk about Snap, but I will say this: I don't think I needed a reminder of the Hearthstone being more accessible in terms of what the spend is on it, but it certainly has reinforced it and put more perspective on it because. You ain't getting no free decks for returning to Marvel Snap or 60, 80 or whatever, how many packs, right? It is, granted, it's a newer game, so it's a different place in its life cycle, but, I think that Hearthstone's always kind of had this bad rap with pay to win. I think you get that in any card game, but it is probably one of the more generous in terms of the resources you get or getting a lot of value out of the rewards pass and all that. So yeah,
I think it's pay to meme, right? Like if you want to play a variety of decks, or if you want to play like a lot of jank, or like if you want to play what Raffle plays, like you had to pony up. Like that's why I started spending money, because I was just like, I got into Wild watching Raffle, and I was just like, I want to play some of the decks that he's playing, and so like I got dust baited. But like competitively, like it's
it's
well,
pay.
one or two legendaries here or there might be a hurdle. But if you're grinding a game mode like duels or arena, or like there's ways you can kind of. And the battle pass, don't get me started on the battle pass. The battle pass is just like, if you max that thing out, like you're getting so rich. There's so much value in it if you play a lot.
It's not
And
hard to max it out even by playing like not that much. Like I mean, I had multiple accounts like EU, NA. I'd play standard. Like doing your legend climb. Throughout the cycle of the expansion is more than enough to comfortably hit 100. Like you don't have to grind hours and hours and hours. It's pretty good. Yeah. So it's just some food for thought. It's not pay to win. It's not pay to meme. It's pay to lose in style.
But that was like that was pretty much my week from a Hearthstone standpoint. Was I was grinding achievements and finding my way up. I'm now at solidly low legend. I'm no longer playing diamond players. I started playing somewhat good decks because I started getting bored of grinding achievements. I'll probably take another pass at it next month to finish off some of the stuff that I missed. From a more personal level, I started like working out more because we got a treadmill. I was
Nice.
telling Nate, I try to do like half an hour every night, kind of ramping up how much I'm running on it, and to burning like I don't know, anywhere from like 275 to like 360, 380 calories. Like I'm a little overweight, and I haven't run in forever. And for a while, I had no motivation to work out whatsoever because I trained so much playing soccer as a kid into a young adult, that just like training or working out in any way just seemed like not worth it to me, or just like not a bridge I wanted to come to. But this kind of like casual, just like, okay, let me watch One Piece and jog on the treadmill at various speeds kind of thing has been good. So hopefully I slim down a little bit so I don't look like a wild player in my body type. And that's been good. That's been good.
Oh gosh. Yeah, I keep thinking like debating what do I want to shave, do I not? But when I shave, I have this little double chin going and not bad, but it's like the beard covers it up, you know. Uh and so, I need to start doing that again as well, I think. Well, I'm proud of you, no matter what
Thank you.
anyone says. All right, well, let's transition into the very brief news, and then we can do our special topic for the night. So, welcome to the news.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
I'm gonna play the bumper. All right, you ready?
oh, you have, yeah,
One.
that's right. I forgot you had it.
Yeah, I promise that I'm going to play the bumper. I'm playing it right now. Oh no, this bumper's so annoying. I hate it so much. Why does it torture my soul so? Okay, it's done. I promise. You don't even have to look at it in post, Nate. I played it.
Oh gosh, it's all good. I believe you.
Okay.
All right, so we have a little bit of news. We have a little bit of news. I'm a little bit irritated by this, but they announced Battlegrounds Season 3 starting soon, TM, but they announced it a little bit too early, I think, because it's like Season 2 ended like months ago. And so they announced Season 3 is happening. You could like pre-purchase the season pass and get the board, and like it's not coming out for like a month. And so I don't know what the deal is. Is it just a money grab or what? I don't know. I mean, I always like their season pass
Isn't it the same as
was,
the last passes, or is this one different?
yeah, no, it is, but like there was only 20 levels and I finished it so fast.
Hmm.
And then it's like, well, why should I play Battlegrounds for the next 2 months? Like,
Because it's fun.
I guess, but there's nothing to like unlock. There's no rewards for
You
for
Nate, I'm gonna give you some heck here. So you're kind of reinforcing why they give the drip of cards in Snap, right? Because if you get all the cards, then there's no reason to
Yeah, I
play anymore.
know,
So
I
so
know.
so so
But
there you
like
go.
I
Broed.
don't I don't want like I want the base level cards in Snap so I can play the decks. But here what they give away on the rewards pass, they're like it's emotes, it's skins, it's stuff like that. And it's like, all right, that's cool.
Yeah.
But it anyways, oh, you know what? Actually, it looks like they are pushing it a little bit. It says this one goes up to level 40. It says
Okay.
the picture
A little bit more.
the the link to the site, it shows 20 ranks, but then it's got this whole um table chart thing here of the different rewards, and it goes up to 40, so that's good, I guess. I think that it just they announced it a little early too. They did a playtest yesterday on Thursday the 12th, but it was during the day when I was at work all day, so I didn't get to see it. Anyways, I don't want to talk too much about Battlegrounds, but the reason I brought it up is that they are giving away a skin that you can get for free by watching as a Twitch drop. So if you watch Hearthstone stream between January 17th and January 23rd, so and again, this is early, right? So it's almost a week from now. Next Tuesday, the 17th of January through Monday, the 23rd of January. You watch for 1 hour and you get a Battlegrounds specific Twitch drop. It's a Xyrella skin. And it looks pretty cool actually. I've said this a bunch of times and I don't think they'll ever do it, but if you could use like the Battleground skins in Hearthstone, that'd be amazing because they got some really cool ones. But anyways, free skin if you're interested. You have to make sure that your Twitch and BattleNet accounts are linked, but it's easy to do. But anyways, free skin. So that's the news. I don't really think there was anything else this week. It was
No,
pretty quiet.
I think people were kind of expecting a patch because in years past a patch dropped this week, but they were pretty. I don't know. I wasn't expecting one based on the chatter, the feedback, etc. I think people are really clamoring for one, especially in standard. So there was a lot of online noise with
Roguestone, yeah.
yeah. So like people, you know how it is. The same story since like the beginning of time, right? Yeah, you get yourself all worked up that there's gonna be a patch, and then there's no patch, and so you get yourself even more worked up that there was no patch, and then you go on Twitter and Reddit and you complain. So there's a lot of that. But is that even newsworthy at this point?
No.
That's
normal now. That's Friday.
Yeah, it's just the discourse. So yeah, that was really it. I'm trying to think what else.
Nothing. I think so.
Slow news
Astor feels like a problem. It's the new bad mean card. Although I still think it's Bran is partially to blame. I think Shadow Step is been dodging a nerf in standard for a long time, and Bran needs to come home. But in Wild they don't really. They're fine. So whatever.
Maybe they aren't fine. Miracle Rogue is it hasn't really cascaded down the ladder yet, and it may not just because it's not the easiest deck to pilot. But
no, it's hard. It's really fun when you make a 14/14 weapon, or sorry, a 14/3 weapon, and a couple of 14/14 stealth minions. But we'll see. I always felt bad for the rogue players a little bit because I felt like their decks got nerfed.
Boy, gonna be a hot
and what I felt like though is that the rogue decks were more difficult to pilot. And so, yeah, they're good, but okay. I could take Secret Mage with 2 fireballs, right? And not know how to play the game and win. But if I take Miracle Rogue and I don't know how to play the game, I'm going to butcher it, right?
See, I also feel bad for the rogue players because their tier 1 decks always have to get nerfed for the betterment of the metagame. And I mean, it's just so hard to have your tier 1 deck get nerfed all the time. Most nerf cards of any class, even more than Demon Hunter after the whole day 1 Demon Hunter fiasco, they do the whole drawing cards and cheating mana thing really well, kind of like Druid, but better. I don't know. I mean, look, it's. I'm being a bit sarcastic, but the rogue class has broken the game on a number of occasions. I think Noel is also potentially on the nerf block, but who knows? And I don't know.
Didn't they nerf it and then they unnerfed it?
Well, they unnerfed it. And they took it. They made it 3/5, then they made it 4/5. Now I think it's 3/5 again. And it's too good at 3/5, and I don't know. It's still 3/5. Yeah, still 3/5. So, anyways,
whatever.
So cursed.
All right, yeah. Speaking of curses, today is Friday the 13th, so I thought it would be fun to talk a little bit about. So Friday the 13th, right, known as being superstitious, unlucky, the day the bad things happen, right? And so I thought, let's talk about what is unlucky in Hearthstone, like Hearthstone bad luck charms or Hearthstone what is it, like Hearthstone superstitions, right? Like the cursed card back, or I remember way back in the day there was a superstition about your pack openings would be better if you clicked on them in a certain order, or you grab the card pack and you drag it over to the empty slot area and release it and then it opens. But I had heard that if you clicked it and dragged it over there and you ran it in a circle a bunch of times and then you let go, then you get better cards. Of course, it's
Rip
not
was
true,
always
right?
a proponent of the space bar. Just hold down the space bar.
I figured out a way to you hold the space bar down and then you click out of Hearthstone on your second monitor and then you let it go and it keeps going and then you kind of click back in. So I found a way to do it without holding down the space bar. It was probably a bug, but that's the way to do it. And then I also downloaded the it probably doesn't exist anymore, but the CN client had this add-on for an auto pack opener as well that worked really well. It worked on any region.
Just open everything all at once?
No, it doesn't open it all at once, but it opens it. It auto opens it, kind of like holding down the space bar. And it has this nifty little thing where it kind of tells you how many legendaries, epics, commons, uncommons you got. It was all in simplified Chinese, so I mean I couldn't read it, but I have those around me who can kind of make it out, so I'd be like, what does this mean? What does that mean? Also, which button is it to close the thing? It wasn't clear.
Yeah, we used to goof around sometimes with like changing the language in client, but then but then getting it back to English is like impossible.
Yeah.
Oh god. Oh, good times, good times. So the only ones I could think of, right? Would be what is cursed, right? Um I've opened on occasion, the free track legendaries or whatever, and then you pack out like a golden one, or you'll get the diamond card. Like Belinda's a great example, right? You get
Hmm.
diamond Belinda, and then you pack the golden one. It's like great, great. What am I dust this for 400? um, and occasionally, I think Martian posted something the other day about getting like, okay, I've now got the full like four different versions of the same legendary card now, and way back, I think new players don't realize how good they have it. Way back when, before duplicate protection, I packed 4 copies of the Shaman Quest, Unite the Murlocs.
Oh, that's such a
Like,
good card. It's S tier. That is an S tier card. If you don't have a gold Unite the Murlocs, what are you doing with yourself?
it's an S tier meme. Summon 10 Murlocs, reward Megafin. Fill your hand with Murlocs. Right. So this is from Journey to
Shaman
Agora.
doesn't have draw. That's good draw. It's quality. A
That's
quality card for a quality archetype.
This is what it sounds like every time I'm trying to tell people to put the quest in discard Warlock, and
Uh,
people
so Unite the Murlocs. Let's be serious for a second. Like pound for pound, Unite the
unite
Murlocs is
the
still better than Lakari Sacrifice. I'll fight you on that. They're both awful, but like
u- unite the Warlocks. Yeah,
Unite the
exactly.
Warlocks. Yeah, we'll unite them by making life tap cost 3.
Oh, and ban Fireball while we're at it.
Yeah.
Every Murloc Shaman in Plat 5 runs the quest, by the way.
The quest is so cool. Gigafin is so awesome. It fills your hand full of Murlocs, so you get that reload.
There
It
are
is.
some matchups I've lost to it because it's so greedy that like it just outvalues you. Like it's like to a certain extent, like I can understand why people would run it, but like it's so I don't know, it's so unnecessary. But like Lucari Sacrifice has to be the worst. Like I
It is really bad. It is.
I tried to like okay, so I played like a show match with like somebody I climb against sometimes a little bit, and he streams a little bit, Guy Maverick. And so like we came up with like kind of zany decks, and one of them was like we had to come up with quest decks, and the tome tampering wasn't banned yet, so I made like a tome tampering Lucari Sacrifice greatest Dinomancer deck, and so
Quality.
like you think like, oh man, you're like getting Lucari Sacrifice done on like turn 3. This is great. No, you have to wait until turn 5 to play it, and then you're like basically passing your turn 5 to play like 6/4 in power. That's just
Two
kind of
three
like
twos. It's insane. And also taking up a board slot for the portal.
no, yeah, it's all it's like truly awful. Like if they ever want to go back and like at least buff a quest so that it's I don't want to say playable because I think like sometimes like we open up a Pandora's box when we start claiming let's get this wild card buff, let's get this wild card buff because like sometimes you buff something and now that's new meta. I don't want Lucari Sacrifice to be new meta, but like want to at least I don't know.
Well, you're gonna get
Put it on.
your wish.
Put it on par with Niru Fireblade, where it's like, okay, you put it down and now you get a board full of 3/2s that respawn. I think that would probably be fine in today's wild because like
Well, you're gonna get your wish, Schmoopie. You're gonna get your wish. They're not gonna rework the quest you want, but they promised us a rework of the Demon Seed, and rotation is we're not that far away from rotation.
I know.
I'm
I
kind
don't
of
even.
terrified.
That is talk about scary topics on Friday the 13th.
Yeah. All right. So on the subject of cursed outcomes, this is what they do at rotation. Exciting news, guys. The power level is so much higher that we feel that we're in an appropriate place to revert all the quests to the way they were on release at Stormwind. Raid the docks, defend the Dwarven district, Demon Seed, and while they're at it, they'll put Rapid Fire back to 1 mana too.
Oh, okay. That would spice things up though.
Oh, it would make people rightly quite upset. I don't know what they're going to do with the Demon Seed, but I mean that might start a precedent for reworking cards and maybe
I mean, I really wish that they would unnerf Raid the Dogs.
Yeah, that's not gonna happen. Right? They like honestly, if you were them, would you unnerf Raid the Docks? Like it's gonna like invite a cavalcade of like complaining. Like it's gonna be like just people will lose their
I would revert
minds.
So it got nerfed twice. I think I'd revert it by 1. Because on rotation, like maybe not the full thing, but we could kick it back 1. Warrior's unplayable.
I think if you reverted it to the way it was on release, it would be unplayable. I mean, think about it. You play so all right. This is the sequencing of events. You play Raid the Docks on 1. I coin out Chisel and match.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah, that's kind of it. I mean, they won't be able to ever come back.
Well, you know what? I just liked Pirate Warrior.
Yeah, me too. I liked it too.
And now it's gone, unfortunately. But...
Well, I mean, we'll see what happens. It's I don't think it's good enough. Demon Seed, on the other hand, I think probably in its reverted state would be good enough because like the pain card, like the self damage cards in a way is like a way of cheating mana, and it kind of starts this whole engine. So I think that there's a lot more danger there, but who knows what'll happen. So on the subject of superstition and curses, so I have two things that afflict me. The first one's very specific. I cannot co-op with otters. Otters is like my Achilles heel. So this has happened more than one time, but I remember this one the most. I think I was playing Pirate Warrior, because this was around that time, and I had the game in the bag. It was like, I had the smite ready to go, like it was, the Pirate Warrior things, and Otter's kind of, I couldn't see him because we were on voice chat, but he kind of turns to me and he's like, they have an out, they have a line. I'm like, what's the line? I was playing against traditional discard warlock. He's like, well, they have the Malkazar Zimp out, so if they slam Doomguard and they get like a Fist of Jaraxxus into a Hand of Gul'dan into a Soulfire, that's lethal. And proceeded to have that happen play for play. The guy, he slammed his Doomguard down, the fist went face. He dropped the hands, so he drew 5 cards because he had the imp out, and then just nailed me with the Soulfire. It might have even been 2, and he thought that was the funniest thing he ever saw. I was like ready to break the table in half. So cursed. Like, just calling out these unlikely plays. Like, I feel like we all get unlucky sometimes. So that is. I mean,
what are the odds of that happening, right?
Yeah, it was like 2 years ago, right? Because it was Stormwind. Was Stormwind 2 years ago? No, I don't know.
Wow, really? Wow.
No, Stormwind was like a year and a half ago. But time flies. Yeah, because Stormwind was summer 21.
How time flies. I didn't realize that it had been that long already.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah, and I remember that because like I remember getting really into Odd Quest Hunter because it was the one deck that kind of did well into the Demon Seed nonsense and the Pirate Warrior, and that was like the fall because I was in between. I was like moving, and we were in that temp place for a few months. Yeah.
Dude, every time I like a deck, it gets nerfed.
You're just a rogue player at heart. Yeah, so that was my curse story. The other one is a little bit more well known. There's a card back. It's called Pizza Stone.
It's quite cursed.
It is not a good card back. Now, let me explain for those who are those that are uninitiated. Pizza's good. Onions, when prepared properly, are also good. Onions, when raw, are disgusting. Particularly red onions, which have some of the most overpowering bitter taste ever. Now, this is a real-life rendition on screen of the Pizza Stone card back. You'll note that in the middle, in a spiral-like Hearthstone logo, there is a raw red onion. Also, flanking opposite corners of the card are 2 raw red onions. Now, if you were to eat that, you would taste one thing: raw red onion. Now, if that's your jam, then that's great. So I despise the Pizza Stone card back. So whenever we're co-oping, okay, and an opponent comes in and they flash their Pizza Stone card back, I always say the same thing. Oh, like, Nate, you better win this game. There's just something about it. I like olives. I like basil. I love tomatoes. I don't eat cheese anymore. That's a whole other story. I remember liking cheese. Anyways, that's an aside. But onions, raw red onions, they made a card back out of that. And they're capable of making good food card backs. They're all great. The chocolate one's great. The bread one's great. The new grilled cheese and tomato soup card back, that's like... I gotta actually, you know what? I gotta play my 5 games so I get that card back. I don't want to miss out on that.
You should. You should.
That's a good one. But like they're good, right? Like the beverage one, they had like a ramen one. Anyways, I think this was one of their first, so you can forgive them. But like, I mean, look at that. Look at that. Would you eat that? Tell me you'd eat that. This is the most cursed Hearthstone cosmetic in the history of Hearthstone, bar none. I challenge you to present me a more cursed Hearthstone cosmetic, excluding the new Death Knight portrait. That one doesn't count, because there's probably an argument to be made that that's more cursed. Actually, signature cards might be almost as cursed as the Pizza Stone card back.
I don't know, that like Death Knight card, that Death Knight portrait doesn't look like he's allowed within like 1,500 feet of a YMCA. It's spooky.
Oh my gosh, that's great.
You gotta check in with the parole officer every like 2 weeks. I don't know.
Oh, yeah. Oh my god. So there's speaking of card back, so I posted on Twitter and someone responded. Oh, it was Gasu, never mind. I'm joking. Gasu says Legend card back gives you worse mulligan RNG. Which I think isn't that like, that's right along the lines of like when you have golden patches you draw more often, right?
I remember Jonah Raw, for those who remembered him. He used to be a high legend player, streamer. I remember one time he was, I don't know if he was having a bad day, getting bad beats, or just kind of, he remarked like, "We're in legend. I know you are in legend. You have attained the rank of legend. You don't need to show me your legend card back." And he went on a fairly lengthy diatribe that convinced me that yeah, you know, the legend card back at legend is a little bit reductive.
You know, I think he said that back on the show when Craig and I were doing Into the Wild.
Oh,
we had
did he?
Jonah on.
Okay.
And because we used to ask people like, "What's your favorite card back?" And he went into this whole like diatribe about how you can't use the legend card back when you're in legend because it's pretentious and everyone already knows you're in legend because you're in legend. And it was so funny because like either I had just hit legend or I hadn't hit legend yet. I think I hadn't yet. Because this was years ago.
Yeah.
And then I hit legend like a couple months later and I rocked that card back for like, I don't know, at least 3 or 4 months because I was so proud of the achievement, right? Now I like grumble every time it shows up in my rotation because it's so ugly, but
yeah, it's got the brown. I don't know.
It is pretty
Brown.
Cursed.
Yeah.
It is just like a little bit, well, it is funny when you get down to like, I don't know, sometimes you play down where I play and you're at like, I don't know, like silver 5 and you see the legend card back. I'm like, all right, so maybe this isn't your format, but like, why are you here? Why do you have that card back?
Some people
Especially
take a
'cause they make
break
so many
or
good-looking
I don't
card
know.
backs nowadays too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm always impressed by the monthly one that keeps. I don't know about the grilled cheese one. That might I don't think the food ones are necessarily for me.
I
But
don't like the food ones. I'll be honest with you.
I don't either, but I
I
think this
do not
latest
like them,
one's
but
one of the better food ones.
yeah.
yeah, I agree with that. I agree with that. That's fair.
So, while we're on the topic of card back, since Hydra is not here, I'll chime in for Hydra, who would say the Hakard back is the cursed one on his POV. So, yeah.
I
What is that?
unironically
Do you like it or not
card
like
backs
it though? I
like all
can't
the time.
tell.
Like I would play it. Well, especially I'd play it in my Hakar deck. Back when you could get away with playing Hakar. You probably can get away with playing Hakar now with Guff.
Yeah, maybe.
I'm sorry. I was fielding children. Do I get to share my unlucky
Oh,
story?
please.
Yeah,
Yeah, what is
you,
your
you'll have to listen back to mine, the unlucky cursed discard warlock game. But yeah, let's hear it.
Yeah, no. So I used to play Linecracker unironically before you had Guff and access to infinite mana. And so the way that I'd play it is I'd have I used to find that like I'd get a partial combo or like a decent combo off, and then I needed a way to finish it where if you get like 80 armor, that's not good enough, but like you had to survive. So I'd follow it up with a Mechathune to just sort of like just end the game with hopefully Bioproject and Naturalize. But often, I would have used my Naturalizes as defensive tools throughout the game, or my Bioprojects to get my combo off. So I would just sort of throw Mechathune out there as the last card. It's like for most classes, that's like game over. What are you going to do? Like I've got 1,000 armor. You either kill the Mechathune or I kill you with a 10/10. Like what are you going to do? Well, this shaman happened to devolve me. And who did he devolve me into? He devolved me into Major Domo. Now, I don't know if you guys knew this fact, but when Major Domo dies, he turns you into Ragnaros. And you know what you don't get to keep?
Oh,
Any of your
no.
armor.
Oh,
The armor goes away?
The armor goes away. So I died immediately to fatigue when my turn
Oh,
happened.
no.
So I guess that was like I had that
unlucky.
coming.
I mean,
What?
but
At the time, I did the math. I think it was like 1 in 32.
so let me ask you, what is more tilting, that or someone just plate breakering you?
Probably. You're asking a lot of me here. I don't even know if Plate Breaker was printed. No, it was printed. Probably Plate Breaker, because like I know they're gonna let it go a couple turns and then emote and then nail it down.
I remember for a minute Linecracker was meta, and Shio Senna was still pretty actively streaming, and Shio was a big Reno Priest gamer, and he put Plate Breaker in kind of half as a joke, but half as like a non-joke, because Linecracker was seeing a lot of play in kind of that like, top 100 area of the ladder, and he was plate breaking people all night. It was really funny. And she is a funny guy, so like he'd always get this like sly smile on his face right before he'd play the plate breaker. It's like, it was artful. It was like watching Gallagher smash a watermelon with like a sledgehammer. Like watching that plate breaker come down and knocking out that armor was a sight to behold. And there was some people were accusing him of doing it maliciously, and he's like, "Oh yeah, of course I'm doing this maliciously. You're all playing Linecracker, I mean, the deck is the ultimate griefer deck, right? It's like well, maybe Shutter Shaman's worse when you're kind of in a loop that has no like end to it, but like, still it's
Linecracker's like even what's funny is in Linecracker when you get 2,000 armor, 5,000 armor, and then your opponent still is trying to wear you down, and like
they haven't done the math.
Hasn't done the math and
Yeah.
realized like it doesn't matter, like you just oh man,
And they're
that's
holding
pretty
you
funny.
hostage, and you can't do anything because you're gonna win, right? Sometimes,
Right.
like, I remember I played a guy who line crackered me, and I don't remember why, but like I did the math and I had enough. I think I had like Battle Master down and like Giants. I don't remember what it was, but I had enough, and I mean it got to the point where he just wrote like he must have got they must have gotten up and walked away, because like it would be like my turn, full attack, then his turn, full rope, and just I had to stick it out because I wanted the win. Like
Yeah.
we were on that Diamond 5 grind. I wasn't gonna give up the star. Although
Heaven
probably,
forbid.
but in retrospect, today I probably would. It's just not worth. It's just not worth it. Like, because you could get like
Oh,
4 wins
gosh.
of the time that you get the one, right? Like, unless there's a
It's
lot
the
riding on it,
it's
like
the
a win
time
streak or whatever.
it's the time investment. Like
Yeah.
at some point, it's just not worth it anymore because I could just go jam another game.
Yeah,
Uh,
Linecracker at its worst is one of the most. It's funny because it's equally annoying to play with and against, because like you're just kind of hoping your opponent will concede like a gentleman's agreement, and then they don't because they don't count, or they just want to grief you back, and it comes this like becomes this spiral. That's why Mechathune is like, in a way it's just, there's some finality to it. It just,
There, you know what? There is some beauty to doing Mechathune against somebody who who played Linecracker, though.
I haven't had the joy of experiencing that because I never pilot Linecracker or Mechathune, but I can see it. I can see it.
Yeah. Okay. Here's a classic, right? Classic Hearthstone curse. And this is from Reddit a long time ago, but it's so true, right? I was reading a thread today about matchups and was shocked to see just how many people believe that Blizzard's matchmaking algorithm will always deliberately match you against your counter.
Oh dear. Okay.
Right. And then wait, here's paragraph number 2 because this plays into it. I also saw someone say that they play anti-secret tech cards just so that they don't get matched up against mages because they believe that the algorithm looks at your deck and matches you up against someone you will struggle to play against. I find it hard to believe that this is anything more than confirmation bias, but it did get me thinking. Right? Like all the people that were playing Eater of Secrets, right? And then never queuing into mage.
So there's a friend of mine that was convinced this unironically believed this, right? A player of talent and accomplishment convinced that matchmaking was rigged. And I think it first started almost like as a half joke and then graduated to like a haha, I'm just joking, but to oh no, it's rigged. It's rigged, and it's rigged against me. And I remember that, like, at the time it was kind of like now, a very hot aggro meta, and this player was a control enjoyer, and I was like, well, maybe you could try leaning into the anti-aggro thing a little bit. Nope, I got enough anti-aggro. It's just rigged matchmaking. And I remember, like, I was like, all right, whatever, who cares? But ridiculous hat, if you know ridiculous hat, he's the ultimate pragmatist, the most practical person. He'll always approach a situation with an eye to like the rational and trying to just, engage, like, do you really think it's rigged? Like, you've noticed like X, Y, and Z and these things, and kind of really tried to like approach it from a place of logic, but this other person was coming at it like, from an emotional state, and it erupted into a row, and it was just funny because since then, we joke and we laugh about it, but I tell you, there are a lot of people who are convinced that it's rigged or that it's done with malfeasance, that like they'll if you buy a bunch of cards and you get a new legendary and you build a deck around it, like you build triple green gem demon hunter, not demon hunter, death knight. I keep doing that. That's what it means to be old. They're gonna artificially like pump up your win rate so you feel good about your purchase and you'll keep spending money. Man, they couldn't get the friends list to work properly for 3 years. All right, I'm not saying this to put them down, but you think they have this algorithm like with advanced like analytics that's going to match you into a favorable because you got a new card? Are you kidding me?
I love the rigged, like, people will argue that, well, if you equip this card back, your pack opening will be better. Okay, you do that. All right, here's a good one. I like this. This is funny. Let me scroll. Okay. Winning lots in a row, can't stop playing until you lose one. Losing lots in a row, can't stop playing until you win one. Right? Just one more, just one more.
I do that all the time.
So
Do
do
that
I.
all the time. Um,
I
uh,
have hit legend that way before. I will say, I was like, I'll where if I fall into the trap of like, well, I'm winning a lot, so let me just keep playing, and
that's
then all of
not
a
so
sudden,
bad. That's not so unhealthy, but the other one can kind of get you in a
well,
dark spiral pretty quickly.
it's unhealthy when it's like 2 in the morning, and it's like I'll go to bed when I lose, and then you just don't lose, and then cool, like I got my legend, and now it's 3 in the morning, and I got to work tomorrow. Uh,
No, that's like an early bedtime for you, Nate. I don't see the problem.
I mean, you pay for it so hard that when you get older, just not pleasant. That like I don't know. Last time I stayed up all night, like it took me like a week to recover. Getting old, getting old.
Well,
Oh gosh.
we
This
have
this
we have
Oh no,
another
go
we
for it,
have
go for it.
another cursed thing to share for this Friday the 13th. The discussion of power creep.
Oh God. I saw this. I saw this right before the show started. I haven't read the whole article yet, but like I is he just trolling or what?
No, I
I
think that so I think what's cursed here is not that there's, a meaningful conversation to have around the nomenclature of what definitions are. I think what's cursed is that, you're trying to rationalize having defining terms with people who are completely irrational, right? The same people that complain about power creep on the internet are the same people that think that you need a card back to get a certain, haul of legendaries in your pack openings, or that matchmaking is rigged against them because, for reasons. So I think that this kind of misses the mark completely because, like the real thing is, yeah. So let me read what's on here. There's a
this is
conversation.
a whole like 12 tweet thread here,
Yeah, but
so
the gist of it was that
you can read it. Go for it if you want, or
yeah,
I
so,
can read it if it's easier for you.
yeah. So the context here is that a streamer known as J Alex, who likes to
Is a
think
rogue
about
rogue main, by the
rogue
way.
main, very very likes to use a lot of $50 words and very expressive, not unlike myself. Basically said, hey, I think we talk about power creep a lot, but what is the definition of power creep? I think a lot of people don't use it correctly, and it kind of spun this whole thread out. Aleko, who is he the balance lead or he's on the balance team? I don't know what
He's one of the devs, but
yeah, but specifically focused on game balance.
balance,
Yeah.
balance, yeah, yeah.
He tweeted
Oh,
saying,
final design lead
final
with
design
Hearthstone.
lead. Okay, so he tweeted, I totally agree with Jay Alex, and we should be precise when discussing shared terms like power creep. With that in mind, I really dislike the Wiktionary?
Wiktionary,
Is that
yeah.
how you pronounce that? Gosh.
I guess.
Definition of it here. I think we can come up with a better one. And my reaction to this is, for whom? Who needs to have a better definition of power creep? The people on Reddit that want to have Fireball be banned because it's too good to Secret Mage? I know that's
Humanity deserves a better one.
I know that's a meme, but still, I mean, there are people who have beliefs like that. That if you let the community balance Hearthstone
Oh
or any
no.
game, like I mean, oof. So
Well,
it's
you
I
saw the conversation last week about banning people want all this whole list of cards banned. Like, get out of here.
yeah, they want to ban cards that are wild exclusive that could be reworked or nerfed, and they want to nerf cards that are still in. Like, I mean, I get the sentiment, right? Like, you're not happy that the game is in the state that you want it to be in, and you want to see it improve, and you're passionate about it, and I think that's a good thing. But like, in terms of, we're very good as humans of recognizing the problem or the thing we don't like. I don't like how this meta makes me feel. Okay, well that's valid feedback, and I mean, you can't. There's no arguing with how one feels. But then the proposed solutions come in. Everyone thinks they know better, and well, I mean,
I know better.
well, you Nate may know better. But for those of us, normals, we don't, but that's not going to stop us from from weighing in. So I just find this like kind of misses the mark. It's like it doesn't matter what Twitter thinks power creep means or doesn't mean, because they're going to have the wrong take regardless of how they define that term and apply it to their argument. But that's just the views of Blutrane do not represent those of Born to Be Wild, Nate Wolf, Hydro, Electric Sheep City. So, anyways, I thought this was really funny because it's like whenever you engage the community about balance, it tends to get cursed pretty quickly. But I think that as an aside, Aleko does kind of highlight a big problem that we have in that English is a very imprecise language, and I can tell you that as part of my job, one of the things I'm constantly doing is getting people aligned to agreeing what something means, right? Because I want Hearthstone to be balanced, and then Nate wants Hearthstone to be balanced. What does that really mean? Well, for Nate, it might mean making Mage overpowered so he can finally hit Legend with it in Wild. But for Nate, that's balance. I'm not saying that's true. I'm just using that as a hypothetical. But like they can mean different things. So having a common denominator is important. But like you're trying to reason with people who spend their free time creating Reddit posts. Sorry, guys, who like posting on Reddit, but as anyone who will frequent it, this is not really a good place for that kind of discourse or discussion. But hey,
I want to have Reddit have the power to balance Wild for 1 week. And I want to see that hellscape. I don't know if I'll play
You regret it so fast.
I just want to see it. I just want to see what would happen. And I'd want to see okay, let's put it up for a voting system. Okay, whatever gets the most votes, this is what we do. And just the chaos that would follow of just votes and counter votes and just tweaks and nerfs. But I just want to see 2 weeks solid of just okay, you know better than us. Here's what you came up with.
It's like Twitch plays Pokemon, but Twitch balances Hearthstone. It would almost be funny if you could do that and log the results.
Full movements. That would be let's make I don't know, Goldshire Footman a 10-10, and you'd get people on board with okay, make Foot great again, and all of a sudden if you just have just this absurd tapestry of cards, then you have people complain as well, no, it would have been great if we were just allowed to do what we were supposed to do, but it would be somebody in the comments, I think Nate pointed out, saying stuff oh man, you guys should be on the balance team. No, we shouldn't.
No,
we are nowhere near qualified. I thank you very much for the compliment, but I will actively say as much as I might criticize a decision here or there, I'm not qualified to balance a card game. It's an incredibly difficult thing to do.
But
they haven't gotten it right in standard for an expansion and a half. I feel it's very, very difficult. And that's not me knocking them. It's a tough thing to do. We've been blessed and wild that it's been so good for so long.
Yeah. I really enjoy Beast Hunter, especially in Nathria. I was playing that deck around the clock, and I was always worried oh man, they're gonna nerf Harpoon Gun again, or they're gonna nerf Wild Spirits, or they're gonna. And I remember at one point, NHL's man, you had your run with Beast Hunter. Who cares if it gets nerfed at this point? It's if I was in charge of game balance, I'd let Hunter remain broken because I like it. That would be my balance philosophy. It's
I'd put Patches back in charge, but
Yeah, I'd put Patches back in charge. I'd make Life Tap cost 3.
See what we should do if you really want to explore this glorious hellscape is you rotate it between content creators for a week at a time. We get the Blutrane Wild and then give it to Zeddy and then give it to whoever. Give it to everyone for a week or two at a time and see how broken it all gets. It'd be hilarious. And everyone would have different hot takes, right? I would unnerf Raid the Docks and Patches, and you might unnerf the Warlock quest line. I don't know. I don't know. This
Me
is
unnerf
ridiculous.
the Warlock quest line? Oh man,
Well, I've gone fully off the rails at this point. I mean,
yeah, I think that look, I think it all comes from a good place, right? People are passionate about the game, but I think that people who kind of focus on this as their day jobs are clearly, they have a tough time with it. And I think that it's one of those things where you're in a lose-lose situation, right? You're never going to make everyone happy.
you know what? That's true, and I've been in that boat many times. And you have to do what's best for the whole, and not for the one person who's complaining. And um, that makes sense. That being said, well, I don't want to go on too much of a rant, but we could talk about cursed modes a little bit. I think, they have this bad habit of like releasing and then unsupporting things like Cough Wild Cough, or like Mercenaries. But
You want a cursed game mode? Have you played Tavern Brawl at all the last 2 weeks?
you know what? I'll tell you what. I always play Tavern Brawl at like 10 a.m. on Wednesday morning, because if you wait any longer than like an hour or two after launch, it gets degenerate, because people find out the broken thing and they share it with everybody, which is a mistake, right? And then all of a sudden everyone has
Well, you get
one
your
mana
pack and you
9/9
just, like,
patches. You got to
give
get
off
your
to
pack and
others
dip, because
what I have.
well, and so
Yeah,
this week
turn one lethal with Pillager Rogue going first.
they figured out that if you take uh what is the Warlock one mana spell that deals 4 damage? Soulfire? Is it Soulfire? So if you create the Tavern Brawl deck with Soulfire, except if you create it in classic mode, and then you copy the deck code, and then you go into Tavern Brawl and you paste the deck code, it keeps the old classic version of Soulfire instead of the new current version, and you can just OTK your opponent on turn 1 with Soulfires from damage.
You
It's
you
just
replace
like,
the second card with Hand of Gul'dan, and so now you have a 0 mana 4 damage spell, and then you have infinite draw. So unless you brick super hard, like, you're guaranteed to win. This even beats in big in patches, which I have no idea why they haven't banned packet patches. The problem I have with this brawl is I really like pick 3, because I feel like with 3 cards you get kind of a diverse meta. With pick 2, it narrows the options so much that it was just like, okay, patches and biggin. I got my pack. Somebody thought they were cute playing Solarium and Soul Barrage, so they hit me for 18 turn 1, and then I made a board full of 7/7 patches, and they won.
I was not quite so big brain. The 2 cards that I used were Patches and the pirate ship, or whatever it is called, and
Ship's Cannon.
and played ships. Yeah, I played Ship's Cannon.
Oh, okay.
I had coin, and so I played. Was it on 2?
Patch
Ship's
turn 1,
shi-
2
sh-
turn 2, do it. Yeah.
yeah,
That's cool.
Ship's Cannon, coin Patches, and did, I don't even say 18 damage or whatever. Yeah, it was a lot.
Honorable.
And they quit. So
Yeah.
I remember
that worked.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
No, that's all. That's all. And then I started seeing like people posting all over Twitter about the and big in patches. Like, don't do that. Don't do it, because if you try it by the end of the week, the mode is unplayable, right?
So remember they had the same Tavern Brawl, I think in like September or August of 2020, and I remember I did that. I did the patches and biggin thing, and I was like, this is a good time. And so I started playing aggro druid in wild, and proceeded to start a reign of terror on ladder that lasted for quite some time. Right, aggro druid had its day in the sun.
Yeah.
And it all started from that brawl, because there was a few of us that kind of had the same idea, right? It was Mr. 37. There was a couple of others. That's how I met Mountain Man. He was just like grinding aggro druid at Legend. I was like, I remember I think it was Keith Numbers stream or someone else. I'm like, hey, add this guy because I want to know what his list is, because he was running some weird cards. But yeah, that kind of started the reign of aggro druid terror, and brought to you by Gibberling. Rest in peace, little guy. They unnerf Kale fast, but they don't unnerf Gibberling. You want to talk about cursed? Let's talk about cursed. 0
I
mana.
bet that deck being good, but maybe it has too much refill now with composting. Do you think like if that deck ever got better, like it gets blown out so easily?
I
Like
don't
I
think
never
it's.
minded it
I don't
being
think it's
good.
composting. I think that it's just one of those cards where, like, if you just have the nutty opener with it, it's just a non-game.
I
You know.
guess
I don't.
it's still aggro,
I
so it
don't
still
know.
loses the flaming ward.
I look. You don't have to tell me. I was stunned. I was stunned that they unnerfed Kel'Thas, Crab Rider, but not Gibberling. This is why, by the way, I am convinced that they are not going to unnerf Raid the Docks. They're not even going to unnerf it a half step. They're just going to leave it as it is. They're going to leave all the quests the way they are. And here's the Blutrane Friday the 13th cursed hot take prediction. I don't think they're going to do anything with. I think the Demon Seed stays banned. I don't think they're going to rework it.
Think they delete it?
I think that I think they say that they're going to evaluate what they're going to do about that and the other banned cards, and it'll stay banned for a whole other cycle until
They're not
Illuminate.
gonna
And
make it give the your charge minions +1 attack. Like you're saying.
I don't know. I find it I don't, maybe I'm being very cynical here, but I think that because like, what do you do with that card? It's like, it's one of those things where it's either you're gonna gut it, in which case everyone's gonna be unhappy, because then it effectively is banned. You know, your imps have, like, your charge imps have +1 attack. Like, I mean, it's useless. Or you revert it back to the way it was, and then everyone's going to be unhappy, even if it's not good anymore, because, you know, people, like, it's just a lose-lose situation, just like the balance thing. Like, you're going to be in such a rock and a hard place that it's almost better to just, like, leave it banned and say, like, you know, hey, we'll figure this out next year when Illuminate comes due and the other cards that we ban come due, and that'll probably make people unhappy as well, but it will be, you know, this collective unifying unhappy.
Yeah, it's, I mean, it's kind of funny. They said, right, like, hey, we'll deal with it later. We'll deal with it later. All right, cool. But realistically, like, how many people you think at this point, aside from me, like, have not just nerfed their, or like dusted their card when they could get full dust value from it? In the off chance that, like, maybe it'll be playable someday, sometime. Like, I don't know. I mean, I kept mine and I have a golden one, but, like, I don't know. Do you ever, let me ask you, do you ever, speaking of, like, superstitions, is there any board that you always click the same thing on? Do you pull the turnips, or do you launch the spaceship, or do you, like, you know, launch the volcano or whatever?
I always break the windows on the classic Hearthstone board. I always, and it's funny because I don't do this on all the maps. It's just that one. I always break the windows on the church. And the Black Rock Mountain one, I always forge the swords on the forge.
Oh, how funny. I always sync in the Blackrock Mountain one. I always sync the Ragnaros hammer. Like, if you press the 3 or 4 runes and then it sinks into the lava. Like, I don't know why I do it. I just always do it. And then in the one that kills me though is the goblins, the GVG one that has the rocket ship.
Hmm.
And sometimes I blast off the rocket ship and sometimes I don't. But without hesitation, I always click on that stupid screw to, like, put it back where it's supposed to be, because
Okay,
it
yeah, yeah,
bugs me
yeah.
that it's, like, sitting on the board, right?
Oh yeah, the other one is the target. I'm always, like, clicking on the target with the arrows because I want the arrow to split the other arrow. You got it,
That's
gotta
great.
say those game boards are great. You know, you kind of
They
take it for granted that there's always, like, a new cool game board. Other games charge a premium for alternative game board. Well, even Battlegrounds does as well, right? And those are not even interactable, right? So it's
No, and although they've, I think, been less and less, like, interactable lately.
have
The
they?
last two kind of not so much. Although you can summon Frostmourne in the Death Knight one,
That's cool.
which is kind of fun. Um, and they make special ones when it's like Halloween,
Hmm.
or Wintervale will update some of the old ones. But And then people find secrets in them, which are really fun. The one with Scholomance that there was like a secret down the stairwell that you could find,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
people figured out the thing in Gora where you do the drums in the right order and it launches off the volcano. That was pretty fun.
I also always eat the pie and drink the beer in the grand. You know what? I think the grand tournament board just might be my favorite. Like there's a lot of things on there. There's a lot happening. Was the grand tournament board the best part of the grand tournament?
That and Justicar True Heart.
Yeah, Justicar True Heart and Nexus Champion Sarad. Those are the three good things about the
Oh
grand tournament.
yeah. Well, no, there was, and then the last card I think was the Priest Legendary, right? That summoned a random legendary when you used the hero power.
Yeah,
Although
yeah.
the Sarad was way better.
That was a set, and that was almost 8 years ago.
That's crazy. We're getting old. My goodness.
Yeah, I remember because the grand tournament came out spring of 2015 because I was traveling a lot to Ohio for work, and I remember I was this was when I was playing mid-range hunter. Mid-range hunter was the perfect like deck to play in the hotel room.
Yeah. Gosh. Yeah, that set came out right after the Old Gods, right?
No,
Or was it right before?
it came
It
out
was probably right before.
after Goblins versus Gnomes.
Oh,
There was
wow.
probably they had more mini. Remember back then they did like
Oh, they did
more
the
mini sets.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think it was after Black Rock Mountain because I remember the Flame Waker was a thing.
Gosh. We've been playing for a long time.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta. Game has legs, but I think that there's something to be said that they've managed to keep it going on this long. I think the only other card game that rivals it in terms of longevity that has broad appeal is probably Magic: The Gathering. And as bad as rough as the balance is right now in Hearthstone, I won't say that the balance is bad in Magic. It's kind of hard to compare the two, but they're not exactly having a good year with their 30th anniversary fiasco, and now this whole Dungeons and Dragons nonsense. Even though it has nothing to do with Magic, it's the same company. So I mean, things. But just it's always whenever you think things are cursed in true Friday the 13th fashion, it could always be worse. And for someone else, it usually is.
You know what? That's very well said, and maybe that's a good note to end the show on.
Wiser words have never been spoken. That is a negative note to end on, even by my standards.
I mean, Hydra's sick. Sheep hasn't slept in 2 weeks. I mean, I'm doing okay.
Yeah, I'm good. Apparently I gotta wake up at 2 in the morning to work, but aside from that, everything's
Oh
peachy.
no.
Actually, I don't have to. This very nice person who lives on the East Coast is gonna cover the morning for me, so I can actually get a few hours of sleep. It'll be an early Saturday. And that's the thing, Nate. How am I gonna climb in Marvel Snap if I'm sleep deprived? It takes all my attention and concentration. Talk about a game that went from being a casual time to being like a hyper competitive ladder grind. I swear. I long for like those 11-star climbs where I can like start and finish it in one session, like 3 hours and done. Like that is a luxury not afforded to me in other games.
That is the reason why I'm so adamant about not giving up my 11x because I like being able. I could sit down for like 3 to 4 hours and hit legend in one fell swoop. Where it's like there's no way you could do that without it.
But it sounds like it's even easier than ever to keep it now that the
I
WoW population has
guess.
doubled, or tripled, or
I don't
whatever.
know. I mean,
Increased
so la
substantially.
I don't know if you heard it, but yeah, last week I was talking about like I, I had been camping and then like deranked a bunch and I was like, oh no, on the last day I had to play a bunch to get my rank back and I played until I was like 350 or 300 or something like that because I wanted to keep it. And then it turns out that people way up in the 6, 7, 800s were keeping it. And I was like, oh, well, maybe I didn't need to. I don't know, but it wasn't worth losing. What is it that we say? Like you play a lot, so you don't have to play very much.
Yeah, that was my
That's
my
terrible
creed.
one.
Yeah, I know. I'm literally the worst. Um, where's the bumper? Here it is. There you go. Happy Friday the 13th, everyone, and thank you for joining us on this a little bit of an offbeat episode, but it was fun nonetheless. Kind of recounting these stories, giving candid opinions on people's balanced opinions, and yeah.
Well, there you have it. Wiser words were never spoken, and you heard that on Born to Be Wild.
Cue the Born to Be Wild bumper.
Born to be wild.